Hey everybody, Darren with the Sportsman Series. Got a brake suppressor roundup for you, kind of a long form test, something new for me on this, between three heavy hitters. One you know about, a second one that's kind of an industry standard, and then an outlier. So first one is the Diligent Defense STI can we all know and love with the Recoil-X Brake on it. Don't have that brake on me right now, had to give that back as it was just on loan for a bit. But I used this can to try and put it in the same size and blast chamber as the other two. The secondary being the kind of gold standard here, the Thunderbeast Magnus S-RR, as well as put that up against the newcomer, the Billet Precision Rifles Game Tamer. Now, the rifle used for this was a full custom build. If you've been to any one of our matches, you know it very well. We call it the Princess Rifle because it's very pretty, it's very shiny, it's very expensive, but it's a very lightweight carbon fiber 6.5 Creedmoor. So trying to make that recoil snappy as much as possible. Tried to get as much on Triggercam as possible. I do apologize. As I was editing this, I realized how bad I had that thing out of focus. Again, my bad, I'll get better. But just wanted to get us started again. Diligent Defense STI with Recoil-X versus a Magnus S-RR versus a Billet Precision Rifles Game Tamer. So, let's see what we come up with. So first can we've got up is I'm going to use this as our control can. This is a Thunderbeast Dominus. It's about a 6 3/4 inch, but it's a 1 5/8 diameter. So a little bit bigger diameter than like the Diligent can or even the Billet Precision Rifles can that we're going to use here in a minute, but no brake. So it's very similar in length as far as blast chamber and everything else for the other can. So that's why I wanted to use this as a control. This rifle is not sighted in at this range, but we're just going to start at 400. I'll get her dialed in. No big deal, but regardless, what we're looking at is recoil on shooter and to see what our reticle is doing out there at distance. Again, we're shooting 400 yards here, so not crazy close, but not crazy far either. Should give us a good idea of what we're looking at as far as muzzle rise, etc., and just how it goes. Today's test rifle, it's a Zermatt origin in a Manners LRH NV with the night vision bridge, proof carbon barrel in 6.5 Creedmoor. This thing is a little snappy just because it only weighs like 11.5 pounds. So that's what I was actually trying to do instead of setting this up on a full match rig, is I wanted it to be something that is a little more jumpy. It's not absorbing that recoil like a 26-pound 6mm or anything like that. So just going to start with this and go from there. Thunderbeast Dominus, 400-ish. I'm just going to see what it looks like as far as through the scope. 2 MOA plate at 4. Okay, saw that one. Take 2/10 out, see what happens. Okay, about 2 mils straight down, which is odd, but well, whatever. Okay, 2 mils left. Two mils right. You can tell I'm a little rusty with this rifle. Mils left again. Vertical is pretty much straight up and down, so it's a straight push. Go to the next smaller. I'll let her cool down. Next one up, we've got Diligent Defense STI with the Recoil-X. This is just the Gen 1 brake, but still the Recoil-X on a Diligent STI. Again, this is about our 7-inch can, so very comparable to the Thunderbeast control can, but this one just has the brake on the end of it. So we'll see what this one looks like. Again, 400 yards. Hopefully this thing's recording. I guess we'll see if there's much of a POI shift. Okay. That was about straight vertical, about 1.5 mils, 2 mils. That one, about 0.6 to 0.8 straight vertical. That was it. Otherwise, it was dead nuts left and right. So you can already see that the other can was pushing me around and exploiting my failures a lot more than this one has. About 2.5 mils straight vertical. Gonna go the next plate down just for funsies. Yeah, I screwed that one up. I was like way left on recoil, so that was definitely a driver issue. Yeah, definitely a little shorter recoil impulse, not as violent as the control can. Not that it's violent. I mean, it's a 6.5 with a can on it, so it's not exactly crazy. But not as snappy and pushy for sure. Kind of all over the place. That's definitely me. Give another one. Just beat this guy up. Ooh, just off right. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Able to watch my rounds land pretty darn easily with that guy. Not as snappy as the straight can. So again, that's the Diligent, hot, with the Recoil-X. Next can up, this is the Thunderbeast Magnus S-RR. So it's Magnus, so that gets you your diameter. That's their larger diameter can. 1.85, 875, something like that. S in their short configuration, so that brings it from a 9-inch down to like a 7-ish inch. It's hard to exactly measure, just depending on where you would measure it within the brake. But then the RR with their recoil ready or race ready brake. So we'll give this one a shot. So Magnus S-RR back out at 400. Hopefully I'm doing this trigger cam right. See if there's any point of impact shift here. That one was almost dead center as far as recoil goes. Maybe came right just a little bit, but vertically it was almost perfect. Still, I bet I'm dropping those low. That hill is... I'll add 0.3 to that. There it is. Okay. So that one recoiled harder left, which again is more than likely me pushing that rifle and driving it weird. See if I can get squared away a little better. Okay, so that one I jumped a lot. Had to be me. I'm just going to go ahead and break position and rebuild. Sometimes I'll fall into a weird thing if I'm trying to settle. I'll just full rebuild position. And that one, about a 0.5 mil left, 0.5 mil high. Wind's starting to get me just a little bit here, but Okay, about 6/10 left, hair low. Two mils up. I think I got a couple more rounds in there. I need to give the barrel a break. So we'll just go ahead and brake position again. Saw her into the bag. Off to the right again. And we're out. So that was that Thunderbeast Magnus S-RR. Next on deck is the Billet Precision Rifles. This is their game tamer, and it doesn't look like it's got a lot of a brake, but this is just a one single port, there you can see it there, brake, but I'll have to show you in-house because you can't really, it'll be hard for me to get it in here, but it's different in the fact that it's directing more, or their exit pupil, for what I'll call it, is a lot larger diameter, so it looks like it might be trying to evacuate a lot more gases, at least through that last port. And then a little bit of different geometry there, you can kind of see it here. So we'll see what that does again. And I forgot my bag again. Because that's what I do. Saw her in here. I guess we'll see if we got any point of impact shift again. Ooh. Hopefully we're recording. And that combine isn't too loud. Okay, that was straight vertical, but way left and right. So I'm going to readjust my body here, get my feet right. Pretty dead. Not a lot of that one is definitely me. Not a lot of recoil jump as far as vertical goes, but definitely getting some left to right. Again, that's definitely the driver, not the can. Not used to this light rifle currently. Wow, that was terrible on my side. Hit the shot, but wow, that recoil management was bad. Okay. Dropped it just low. I'm not getting much vertical rise at all on this. God, they're all so good as far as recoil goes. It's nothing's difficult to spot your shots at all. And really, I'm dancing this thing left and right, which is purely me. Drop that low, turn them out. So that is the Billet Precision Rifles Game Tamer. So I think I might try some mod prod ones, see if we can really hammer these in to try and get a better look, because I'm realizing that I am definitely the weak link. I'm not sure how much it's actually showing you. So got the Billet Precision, gonna try mod prone, see if they can eliminate my shooting errors, fundamentals from some of this equation. See more what you guys will see in the prone position, just see if it controls, to see if we can tell much of a difference here from one can to the next. about almost 0 left to right, only like 2/10 vertical on that. About 8/10 vertical-ish. I remembered where I actually held. That was actually low as far as after recoil. That was within 2 to 3/10 of dead nuts. Okay, that came up about 2 to 3/10. So this one I'm seeing 2 to 3/10 muzzle rise when I'm doing my job back here. Yeah, about 3/10. One more just for fun. Yeah, that was about 2/10. So very, very easy to keep that target in your reticle. We'll move on probably back to the Thunderbeast. So here we've got that Magnus S-RR going mod prone, and we'll take that over and we'll shoot a little positional, but this should give us a good reference what it's like when you take more of the nut behind the trigger out of the equation. We'll hopefully see something here compared to the Dominus, because basically this can is like a Dominus just with that brake on the end of it. Almost identical. I'm sure Thunderbeast has some wizardry up their sleeve to say that it's not, which I would expect, but I'm not an engineer on suppressors. I'm just a redneck behind the trigger, so. Okay, about 2 mils vertical. Not very much vertical on that one. I definitely did my job better. Okay. Easily watching those impacts. Yeah. Far, far better than straight no can or regular can, but kind of hard to differentiate between the two so far. So here we've got the Diligent Defense STI Recoil-X standard brake, not their new comp one. I'm going to do 5 from mod prone, then I'm going to move everything over. I'm going to do 5 from standing positional here. Put that guy on. See what we can tell here. So this target's had the snot beat out of it. Immediately notice a reduction in recoil over the standard can. That's about a mil and a half straight vertical, about a mil and a half left, which I wouldn't say any of that left or right is due to the can. That's definitely the rifle driver here. Mil and a half, 2 mils. Definitely settles the recoil a lot faster. Yeah, about 1.5 to 2 mils of vertical, left to right. Again, that's the rifle driver here. Again, this mod prone with 0 anything. It should be, I should be able to keep it tamed down, but we'll see what this looks like. As far as pulse and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera goes. That's what's going on. About 3.5 vertical and 10 to 12 left. Just barely catch that impact. I'm about an inch or a mil vertical, 8 mils left. Combine. 2 mils vertical, 6 mils left. Just off the right. So that is rather aggressive. I mean, for being a 6.5, it's about as aggressive as it can be. But that being said, it was pushing me all over the place. You'll probably see that in the video. That's obviously exploiting my weaknesses and my differences from shot to shot. This is why you're going to see that difference, because the higher the recoil, the more it's going to show that I'm wrong, and that's going to show up in the reticle. So hopefully that gives an idea just how good those other ones are doing in mitigating that recoil, so I can stay super close. I mean, even I could never see where I was hitting on plate with that, and even the ones that I missed, it was kind of hard to catch because you were moving so dramatically. But with the other ones, it was pretty easy to watch every bullet land. So kind of interesting. That being said, these are all really good cans for knocking down that recoil beyond what a regular traditional can is. You could see in the videos that Thunderbeast Dominus, while again it's a great suppressor, it just pushed me around a bit more in the trigger cam, in everything else. And again, sorry, the trigger cam is really blurry, but overall, I know everybody wants me to rank stuff, so I'll do my best. I would say the best as far as straight recoil reduction would be this Thunderbeast Magnus S-RR. I tested it with a couple other people, and everybody agreed this one had the best recoil reduction. Now, what I would say, in my opinion and those around me, it also had the sharpest tone. So if you're a guy that likes to shoot without ears, you're going to notice it and you're going to want to put ears in. Now, in a match setting, not a big deal because people are running brakes. You're going to have ears in anyway. But this one, if you want to run it without ears, it's not going to be very comfortable for you. I would say if you already own a suppressor from many different manufacturers, I would absolutely look into the Recoil-X as an addition to it if you're curious about this and don't want to buy another can. Dramatic increase in recoil reduction. Again, this wasn't the Gen 2, this is just the Gen 1, so I've heard the Gen 2 is even better. So if you own a can and you're kicking around this without jumping into purchasing a different one, I would absolutely do that for a match setting. Again, if you're already watching shots land with a regular suppressor, how much is it going to help you? I don't know. That's for everyone to decide on their own. What I can say is it did help a lot, and I would feel better in a match setting knocking that recoil down ever so slightly. So this would be a very good option if you already own a suppressor that can accept one. Oddly enough, when push came to shove between the three, I shot my first big match this year, and out of these three that I had at home, I did end up running the Billet Precision arms, and it wasn't because it tamed the recoil more than either of the other three. I would say the Recoil-X and the Billet were probably very on par. This one tamed it a little bit more, but what this one did is, because the geometry of the brake, it kept my muzzle rise down ever so slightly. And when you're running a big heavy rifle in a 6mm configuration, we're not talking a lot of recoil anyway. So being able to keep that muzzle down actually made those shots closer to the center of the reticle than any of the other two in the test. So between that and the size of it, it is a little bit shorter. Imagine another 1.5 inches, 2 inches for the brake on this guy. So that form factor, when you compare that on an already long rifle, moving in and out of barricades, that is what made me choose this one over the other two to run in that match. So overall, absolutely enjoyed these a lot. I'll probably still be shooting a traditional can just in my range days and practice sessions, etc. But when I'm going to be going to a match, I am going to be picking one of these options. Probably not the Recoil-X because I already have the other two and I'd have to purchase that one just because I already have the other two. But I'd be running either one of these two without question. So that's kind of my hot take. Love to see you guys' opinions on it. If I can get other ones in, I'll obviously do a review on those. But that's just kind of my overall view after 1,000 rounds down range with these three cans. Thanks for watching.